Hi, I'm Coach Michael Burt. To get a free copy of my book, Inside the Mind of a Monster, text 678-506-7543. Text to get a copy of my book, Inside the Mind of a Monster, and I'm going to turn you into a legendary creature. He said, well, you're exercising on my obstacle course. And then I said, well, I'd like a cup of water. And she said, well, the water's $10 too, Dad. So I ended up giving her $25. Right? I'm like, dang, girl, you're 7 years old. You're getting it. I'm proud of you. I almost want to give her $50.
Oh, that's good.
But they know, man. Those kids, they're watching. And here's what she said to me, Daddy. How good? What would a business be like? What would a business be like if it didn't make any money? Wouldn't be a good business, would it? I'm like, you're right. You got this figured out. It wouldn't be a good business.
Good morning, Coach Burt. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you guys doing? Y'all looking good?
Yeah, we've been up. We're excited about this. We're excited. Um, we're ready. If you are, do you want me to kind of give you an introduction real quick, sir?
Yeah, I see some good folks on here. Most of them are good looking. I don't know about
Most of them.
Mike Stroh-Snyder. I'm a little worried about him, but everybody else is looking good. I like him because he's got a haircut like mine. So yeah,
That's right.
give me a little bit of an introduction and I'll be ready to go.
Well, so thank you everybody for getting on. Make sure you're taking notes. Earlier this year, I went to an event in Dallas, Texas, with my mentor Nate Alford, and got to see this man speak from stage. But when I walked into the room, I knew immediately who he was because Nate had talked about how dynamic he was and how great he was. And so what happened was when he began to speak, I got moved in my spirit, in my soul, in my heart. And afterwards, I walked up to him and I said, I need you in my life. And he kind of said the same thing. He said, you need me in your life. And so I agreed with him. And I'm one of the most powerful motivational speakers, encouragers, coaches that I've ever met. And I get the blessing to work with him and to begin the journey with him to do a lot of things I've always wanted to fulfill in my life. So I know he is an amazing man, but just wanted you guys to hear from him. And Coach, just watching you through this whole coronavirus deal, you've stepped up your game. So I just want to say thank you and welcome to the A team. And it's all yours, sir.
All right. Well, good morning, and thank you for saying that. To be honest with you, Marlon, I found a muscle in me that I haven't worked in a number of years during this cycle. And we're going to talk a little bit about the activation of prey drive today, which is an instinctual ability, an instinctual primal ability inside of a person to fight, to get up and go get it. And some people, when their back's against the wall, they come out swinging, man. They literally need. So I found a gear in me during this cycle that I didn't even know I had at 43 years old, and I thought I was clicking on a pretty high cylinder before, but now I'm clicking on a cylinder. I'm on a whole new planet. I'm on planet Mars now. I was just operating on planet Earth. So I want to share some of that optimism with you this morning. I've tried my whole life to have a contagious confidence about me, and I want you to understand what you're really selling. You think you're selling a product. I think you're selling a conviction. Okay, you think you're selling a problem. I think you're selling a solution. You're selling a product. I think you're selling a solution. Okay, and let me tell you something. The people who have the most convictions and the most networks right now wins. Okay, if I told you deals that I was involved in today that would blow your mind, that I never in a million years thought I would be involved in, and it all comes down to that's how deep my networks are that I've built over the last 25 years. Deals that come out of nowhere, man. Partnerships, deals, relationships, people that I talked to years ago that have been watching all these years. And then during periods like this, they go, man, I want to partner with you on this. I want you involved in this. So I want to tell you, the first thing I want to say to you is you got to tell yourself every day that you are a person of advancement. You are leaving people with the impression of increase. And during this period, I've got a big thick book, and in that thick book, it's called the Encyclopedia of Wealth, and it's got all the greats in there: Think and Grow Rich. And there's one in there that I didn't anticipate, that I didn't know about Wallace D. Wattles, called The Science of Getting Rich. And he talks about how wealthy people do things in a certain way. But he gets into chapter 14 and he talks about leaving people with the impression of increase. And here's what I'm saying. When I'm with you, how do I feel about me? Do I feel better about me when I'm with you, or do I feel worse about me? Do you leave me with a feeling of increase? Do you leave me with a feeling of decrease? Okay, because I move toward people that leave me with the impression of increase. And I start thinking about all the people during this crazy cycle that I've reached out to. They've all been people that left me with the impression of increase. Some of them were mentors that I had 10 years ago, and I've reconnected to them. And during this cycle, they always make me feel better. I was just coaching a guy a minute ago, a big CPA, and he said, man, every time I'm with you, I always feel better about me, coach. He said, man, I wake up every morning with the fighting spirit, and then by the time I go to my office, it's already beat out of me by the first 3 hours, man. I wake up excited, and then within 3 hours, I'm already depressed. And he said, if I could just talk to you for 15 minutes and get some of that confidence you got, and get some of that enthusiasm you got, and get some of that optimism you got, then it does me good for the rest of the day. Sometimes you don't need a bunch. You just need a little, man. You just need a little, right? Now, so I'm going to talk to you today about cycles. I'm going to talk to you about mindsets. I'm going to talk to you about Pray Drive. And then what I'd really like to do is get into some Q&A. I was doing I was coaching a group yesterday in London, Singapore, Miami, 150 people that are selling to airlines right now. You know how hard it is to sell something to an airline right now? And here's what I would tell you. If there was any industry that I could go into right now, other than some of the healthcare industries and some of the things that are absolute necessities, do you know the industry I would pick? Insurance. Out of all the industries I could go into, okay, I'm sure Marlon wouldn't mind me being on his team, me coming under him and being a selling person, right? But here's the deal. If there was an industry I could choose, guys, do you know that some of the insurance companies I'm coaching are showing 50% growth during this cycle? They're having record months. They're having record, I'm talking like significant amounts of growth, because insurance is not don't miss this. It's not a nice to have. It's a must have. Now, your sale, Larry, and your sale, Jan, is you got to sell people that the conviction you got to have is, of all the places they get some insurance, they get it from you. You're the number one person on planet Earth. That's the sale you got to make. But everybody needs insurance. Not everybody thinks they need coaching. Come work on my sales team and see how hard it is to sell coaching right now. Right? Okay. Now, if I sell alcohol sales are up 55%. So maybe I should have bought stock in an alcohol company because that's up, right? Divorce rates are up. All kinds of rates are up during this period of time. So what I want to show you today is I want to show you a cycle, and I want you to write this cycle down. If you're going to ever do anything big, it's 3 steps to doing something big. Number 1, you got to have a big revelation. You got to have a big revelation. And the big revelation is some dramatic moment in your life. Some dramatic aha moment. For the people who have really struggled during this cycle, in my opinion, it's because at some point in life they hadn't had some big revelation. And because they don't have they didn't have the revelation, number 2, they don't have the conviction. Okay, they don't have the conviction. And I'm going to show you the cycle that I actually went through in my life. Okay, if you don't have conviction, see, I tell my sales team every day, you're selling a conviction. You're selling a belief. You're selling a belief that with Coach Burt in your life's going to be a whole lot better than it was before. You're going to earn more income. You're going to have a better structure. You're going to be more predictable. Right? You're going to have more discipline. You're going to have more accountability in your life. Like, you're going to be better off. That's a conviction you got to sell. You got to sell that during this period, everybody needs a good coach in their life. Because of my conviction, I am willing to do what? Take action. High levels of action. Okay, high levels of action. Now, I believe in something called the law of diffusion. And the law of diffusion tells me that when I present an idea to another person, roughly 16% of people will be what's called innovators and early adopters. And that means If I present an idea to 30 people today, that means 4.8 of those people will be open to my idea. Okay. 34% of people are called early majority. They have to see an idea 3 to 7 times. Tony Barker, you with me? Okay, you look focused. I like that. Okay, then 34% of people need to see an idea 7 to 15 times. Then 16% of people ain't never going to see it. You can move in with these people and it ain't happening. Right? Now, to Marlon's benefit, the first time he saw me, to Marlon and Nate Alfort's benefit, the very first time they saw me, they walked up and said, I need to be involved with you. They were early majority. They were innovators and early adopters. Okay? So here's the deal. I'm closing deals today, guys, that I've been working on for 10 years. I'm closing deals today that I've been working on for 2 years. I'm closing a deal with the mortgage company that I worked on the main guy for 1.5 years. He wouldn't text me back. He wouldn't take my phone calls. He wouldn't answer his voicemails. He never even responded to me one time. And then he brought in a manager that wasn't working. And the first person he called was me. He said, man, I need you to coach this manager because he's over these 40 people. But here's the deal. I said, I don't just need to coach the manager. I need to coach all 40 of your people. Because if we're going to do it, we're going to decrease the slippage. He said, you're right. I've been working on that dude for 1 year, guys. That's persistence. So let me ask you a question. My conviction came raised by a single mother. She used to drop me off at the baseball field, 6 months old. I had a female coach, and that coach said, son, one of these days you're going to be a great coach. I've had this conviction for 37 years, which is why I don't waver when there's adversity. This is why I don't waver when I have hard times. This is why I don't waver or let fear control me. Everybody with me? 2 types of people in the world. People that when they have fear, they contract. Second type of person, they have fear and they use that fear as fuel. When I wake up in the morning afraid, and I do, I use the fear as fuel. I make more calls. I dig into my networks deeper. I call my past clients more. I engage with my network. I do more. What Marlon has seen out of me is me hit the gas pedal during this period. Because that's my only option, man. What am I going to do? I got a family to provide for. I got employees that are counting on me. I got a kid. I got 1 kid on the way in a few weeks. And hey, we don't have a name, by the way. So if you got a good boy name, shoot it to me. Me and my wife can't agree on a good name. Now, here's my point. My point to you is the way I'm wired, I'm trying to wire you this way. When your back's against the wall, we got to dig in deeper. So have you had the revelation? Do you have the conviction? Do you think you're taking enough action? If I just told you for every 30 people you talk to, only 4.8 are going to be interested, what's 16% of 4 people? Right? If you only call 4 people, what's 16% of 4? It ain't much. It ain't much. So raise your hand if you think you need to be taking more action during this period. Raise your hand. Okay, all of us do. Okay, now in the early days, we used to go out as kids and we used to try to uncover rocks. We'd pick up rocks to see what was under the rock, and it was like a fun game. Okay, the kids now playing on Instagram when they're 4 years old. But in our day, we just go out in the backyard and pick rocks up. And it was fun to see what was underneath them rocks. Well, I believe selling today is like that. I don't know which rock I uncover today that's going to be a big deal, but I got to go out and uncover them rocks. I got to go out and uncover these rocks. Okay. Now I'm working with a company right now that of 2 guys I was coaching that started a company during this cycle. And I was just coaching them one day. And they said to me, Coach, we started this new company. It's got tremendous potential. We're talking major earning power, and we want you to be involved in it. We want to give you an equity stake in the company to come in and build our sales machine because we don't have one. When I made that call that day, I would have never in a million years thought that was what we were going to talk about. But what was I doing? Uncovering the rocks. Okay. Yesterday I was on the phone with a guy, young kid. We talked for 30 minutes and I said, man, would you consider investing in yourself? Even $49 a month. He said, I've never invested $1 in myself personally. And I said, it's not a wasted phone call. See, most people would walk out there and say, man, I wasted my time talking to this kid for 30 or 40 minutes. Wasn't wasted. Even if you don't buy anything, it wasn't wasted. There is no wasted movement during this period. Everybody understand? Every phone call, every text message. You don't know what rock you're going to uncover. The two biggest contracts I ever signed. One, I did a workshop one night and 2 people showed up, Art. 2 people. That's it. And I almost canceled it. And one of the people was a CEO of a $40 million company. The other biggest contract I ever signed, I spoke at an insurance conference called 8%. And I was terrible that day. Wasn't on my A game. Couldn't get my PowerPoint working. Couldn't get in a rhythm. And I come on there. I'm trying to mute. Thank you, Mark. And man, I thought I was terrible. I literally left that day. We didn't sell $10 worth of books. We didn't sell anything. We didn't sell any Monster t-shirts, or Marlon's got on a Monster hat. We didn't sell one Monster hat. I left there so discouraged. I told my wife, how could I be that bad after all these years of being good? And guess what? On Monday, a CEO of an insurance company called me. They signed me to a $350,000 contract. And they said, Coach, we saw you on Saturday and we loved you. We loved you, man. We loved your energy. We loved everything about you. Now, I went home thinking I was terrible. Was that a wasted movement? No. Everybody follow what I'm saying here? We don't know what we're going to uncover when we go out, but we got to go. We can't control the response. All we can control is the stimulus. And the stimulus is we have to pick up the phone. We have to make the call. We have to send the text. We have to work the muscle. Okay? You can't be one of these people that are sitting around waiting on something to happen. Nothing happens until something is sold. Nothing happens until something is sold. Okay? And so here's my motto that my single mom taught me. We don't whine, we don't complain, we don't make excuses. We show up, we grow up, and we deliver. I hated that conditioning growing up, guys. I hated it until I got in tough situations, and then I was thankful that my mom taught me how to be tough. If you have kids right now, the number one thing you can teach them is how to be tough, because they're going to have something like this happen in their lifetime, and they're either going to fight through or they're going to lay down. And it all has to do with how they're conditioned early in life. Okay? You can't come back, and it's hard to condition a 25-year-old if they haven't been conditioned tough. Everybody get that? Okay? I've had people on my own team lay down. How could you work with me every day and lay down? Right? Here's the deal. Years and years of conditioning, years and years of not being pushed. Then I'm trying to come back and rewire them at 30 years old. And it's very hard to rewire a person when they're that old. So for you need to understand this toughness, this mental condition is part of selling. So you got 2 choices during this cycle. Number 1, you can contract. That's what you want to do. And number 2, you can expand. You can contract or you can expand. Expansion doesn't always mean spending money. Expansion means expansion of effort. Expansion of effort. Okay. How many hours are you prospecting every day? Do you come into the day with a plan? Do you have a hit list of people that you're working every day for new money? Do you have a farm club of people that you're trying to close, and you're using every tactic necessary? So here's what I do. Let's say I call a person, and I say I call Mark Hutchinson, and I don't get Mark on the phone. I immediately send Mark a voice text. Hey, Mark, this is Coach Burt. I then follow up with the video text. Hey, Mark, this is Coach Burt. Left you a great voicemail. I then send him like a little 1-minute hype video. Like, I keep going until I get Mark's attention. I don't just say, well, I called Mark and he didn't answer. I keep going until I have his attention, or he tells me to lose his number. Okay. Now, here's the deal. He ain't going to tell me to lose his number because he likes me. He's going to like me when he listens to my voicemail. He's going to say, I like this dude, Coach Burt. It's fun, smiling, he's upbeat, it's positive. Man, I need a little bit of that in my life. Okay? How can an insurance person be in the motivation business? Guess what? That's the business you're in. You're a psychologist. You're a motivational speaker. You need to be all these things for people. And you're not selling insurance. You're selling energy. Okay? Get on the phone with me and sell me, right? And let me figure out if you got enough energy or not. Hey, it's exciting. Sarah Kate, man, I'm excited to talk to you. Okay? I've been wanting to talk to you all day long. Okay? Now, I get on the phone with people, and that's how I talk to them, guys. Where you at in the country? Okay? I say, Hayden, where you at in the country? Hayden says, man, I'm over here in Texas. What's the weather like in Texas today? Man, I love that part of Texas. Man, I come to that part of Texas every month. You and I ought to have dinner when I come to Texas next time. So what I do is I get on the phone and I build rapport with people, and I'm likable, and I get their attention. Because if you can't get their attention, you can't sell anything, right or wrong. Okay? I don't care how good it is. till you get their attention, you can't sell it. So here's 3 mindsets I bring into the day. My mindset's the same mindset of King David. King David in the Bible, if he would have known how hard it was going to be when they named him king, he'd have probably said, don't sign me up for that. Okay, but he had a mindset. And his mindset was, it's going to be a fight, but dadgummit, I'm going to win. It's going to be a fight, but I'm going to find a way to win. Isn't that a good mindset? Do you know the only year King David got himself in trouble was the year he stayed at home and he didn't go into battle, and he was bored and he saw Bathsheba bathing over on the roof and he went, right? That's the year he got himself into trouble. You know when adults get themselves into trouble? When they're bored, when they're disengaged, when they're not working the system. I don't have any white time on my schedule because I can get in some serious trouble if I have white time on my schedule, right? We live down in I got a condo down in Nashville, Tennessee, down there by them honky tonks. And I told my wife, this would be the perfect time to let me go down there because none of them's open. You ought to let me go down there and spend the night down there because I can't get in trouble. Now, here's my point. When you don't go into battles, when you get yourself into trouble, guys, when you don't prospects, when you get yourself into trouble, when you're bored and distracted, you get yourself into trouble. So my days are jam-packed from the time I get out of bed in the morning to the time I put my head down, which leads me to my 3 mindsets. Number 1, we go to bed tired and we wake up hungry. We go to bed tired and we wake up hungry. Number 2, it all goes to 0 at midnight. This is a very important mindset to have. How many of you figured out no matter how much money you have, that it ain't enough money? I figured that out. Okay. At any given time, I never have less than $500,000 of cash. And I thought that was a lot of money. I thought having $500,000 of cash was a lot of money. I got millions of dollars in real estate. I got hundreds of thousands of dollars in the market. And I thought, man, I'm 43 years old. Shoot, I'm rich, right? I got all this money. I got all this real estate. Hey, until this came along, and I'm like, well, dang, I ain't as rich as I thought I was. because I wake up scared just like you do, right? See, here's what I figured out during this period. No matter how much you have, it ain't enough because you don't know what's going to happen. Okay, so which is why my principle of it all goes to 0 at midnight. If you'll tell yourself this, you never get complacent, right or wrong. You never get complacent if you tell yourself that. I don't care how much you have, you never get complacent because it all goes to 0 at midnight. 3rd mindset, this is my favorite one. There comes a time when winter asks what you did all spring and summer. There comes a time when winter asks what you did all spring and summer. Now, I did an interview I'd like to send to you guys with my doctor in Houston, Texas, #1 energy doctor in the world, Steve Hotze. And we talked about this right when the coronavirus came out. And I was just asking him, I want to get my counsel from you. I don't want to get it from the media. I want to get it from you. So we did this interview about the virus, and he kept talking about immune system. He kept talking about when you have a healthy immune system, your body is exposed to virus from the time you're born. With a healthy immune system, you fight off these viruses. Okay. And as he was talking about this, and he said, here's the ways you got to have a healthy immune system, right? Vitamins and minerals, sleep, exercise, proper eating plan. And he's giving you all these things to build a healthy immune system. And I'm sitting there thinking, a business has an immune system, right or wrong? And the vitamins you take for your business are this. Let me go and give them to you. I got a high prey drive. My prey drive has been activated. Number 2, I have a world-class explanation of services. Number 3, I work a selling system every day. Every day I got a hit list. Every day I got a farm club. Every day I got a top 25. Every day. I chop wood and carry water every day. I prospect every day for new money. I also have a 7-touch follow-up, right? Like I'm going 7 touches in my follow-up before, during, and after the sale. I am then trying to extract referrals out of my current client base. And the average referral should be worth 4 to 6 referrals in the insurance business after you've sold a person a product. And then finally, I've got a strategy to become known, to become a person of interest. Now, I call this the monster growth system. If you have been working that system, and if you had a system, guess what your business has? A healthy immune system. And when there's an external factor that comes along, your business can withstand it because of how strong your immune system is. Does everybody understand? When you look at the rates out of those in New York City of people that caught the virus, what's the first thing that caught your mind? 94% of those people had additional other diseases. 94%. High rates of hypertension, high rates of obesity, high rates of things. These people were already sick. Okay. Now I'm telling you, the way not to get sick is to have a healthy immune system. And that's all you can control. Okay. You can't control an external factor. You can't even control contracting that. All you can control is how strong you are. Well, the same thing is true of your business. I can't control the response. I can only control the stimulus. I can't control if Michael answers the phone when I call or Jen answers the phone. All I can do is make the phone call. I can't control if she wants to buy my product. All I can control is, explaining my product and service to her. Everybody see that? So here's what a lot of people do. Well, here's what I've heard from people. Nobody's buying anything. Nobody's answering the phone. Why even make the calls? Now tell me, when I say that out loud, how silly does that sound? See, it sounds silly. If you say it to yourself, you can justify it. I got salespeople on my team that have justified it. I've had to reassign some of my salespeople on my team to other positions because they ain't selling anything. But it didn't have to do with them it had to do with their mindset about selling during this period, which came back to conditioning. Okay. So for you, all I can do is work the muscle every day. Okay. Now let's talk about prey drive for a second. And then I want to flow into confidence. Prey drive is prevalent in animals, specifically in dogs. A dog has a high prey drive. And when that dog's prey drive is activated, I don't care how sweet that little dog is, you don't want to be alone in the room with that dog. Well, I believe humans have prey drive. The challenge is, for many people, it has not been activated. And because it has not been activated, they operate like this. People whose prey drive is activated have a competitive intelligence about them. They work the muscle. They find a way. They keep going until they figure it out. Okay? High prey drive people find a way. So there's 3 phrases to prey drive I want you to write down. Number 1, it's got to be activated. For some people, it's never been activated before. They're going at a comfortable pace. The second phase of prey drive is there has to be a persistence to it, meaning there's a fight in you. You don't let the world beat the fight out of you. As my buddy Tim Story says, you don't let life knock the shout out of you. You don't let life knock the shout out of you. Third piece of prey drive is intensity. Okay? And surely if this is the first time some of you have ever met me, you can sense my intensity. I'm intense and I'm positive. I don't get negative. It's easy to get negative. I'm intense and I'm positive. So I push and I push and I push, but I do it in a way that's positive. If you ever crack that code of how to be intense and positive, you'll have people all over the world that want to work with you. Trust me. Okay, you'll have people attracted to you from everywhere around the world because that's a universal trait. Now, let me give you 5 activators of prey drive, because this is really what Marlon's trying to do with you is he's constantly trying to figure out how to activate this in you. And once it's activated, it's on, man. You'll make more money than you've ever made. You will live a life you never even imagined. You will do things you never thought you could do. Like I look at my wife, I tell the story of my wife. If you ever hear me speak, I talk about how my wife did drugs every day from 21 to 24. Every day. She had no direction, no goals, no life, no future, all kinds of shady friends. I didn't know her during that period of her life. She's this pretty little country girl from West Tennessee and raised in a Christian home. But her parents never had a conversation with her about her potential. They never taught her how to work the muscle. So she come to one of my workshops. Her company paid for her to come to one of my workshops when she was 30 years old. And she'd never read a self-help book. She sat in the back of the room. She took notes like crazy. And she came up to me afterward and she said, she came up to me afterward and said, "Can I meet with you?" And she was real pretty. So I said, "Yeah, I'm available right now." Would you like to meet right now? I'm available to do a little coaching session right here. And I was single. And she said, no, I don't want to meet right now. I want to come back 2 weeks after I read this book. And she came back 2 weeks later, and the book was ripped up, highlighted. She said, look, nobody has ever talked to me about any of these things. Nobody's ever told me I have potential. Nobody's ever told me how to make big decisions. Nobody's ever told me how to play up. Nobody's ever told me how to activate these drives in me. And she said, I'm on fire. I'm quitting a job I hate. I'm starting a catering company I've always wanted to. And right. And she did all of these things as a result of that one workshop. What happened to her? Her prey drive was activated. Okay. Her prey drive was activated. And since we're about to have a little boy, I guess her sex drive was activated too. But that's prey drive too. Now, here's my point to you that I'm trying to get across to you. What happened to her? My wife is now writing her own books. She's now doing women's conferences. She now manages millions of dollars of our real estate. What happened to that woman? Her prey drive was activated at 30 years old. So you may be on this call today. You may be going, you know what? I've never had my prey drive activated like that. I want to go to a higher frequency. So there's 5 ways to activate it, Marlon. And this is real important for you because that's what you're trying to do with all these folks. Number 1, competition is an activator of prey drive. I want to compete. And if you don't have a fight or a battle to win, you need to create one. You need a fight. You need something to get up every day. Good versus evil. You need it's my duty and obligation. It's, I got to protect my family. It's I'm sick of mediocrity. Like you need a fight. You need a competition to win because that's an activator of prey drive. So what I would do is show everybody's numbers every month. And I would just ask a simple question. Where do you want to be on this ranking? We got 50 people on the call. Do you want to be number 50 or you want to be number 1? Because competition is an activator of prey drive. Number 2, fear of loss is an activator of prey drive. This is actually my number 1. I wake up in the morning. I go to bed tired and I wake up hungry, but I wake up scared. How am I going to make it work? What if I lose all this? What takes years to build up can take seconds to tear down. I wake up and I go, I'm not going to let this happen. I'm going to fight for what I've worked hard for. How many of you have that fight in you? You don't want to lose what you built. Okay. So if that don't motivate you, then you ain't got prey drive. I don't want to lose the house I live in. I don't want to lose the car I drive. I don't want to lose the condo in Nashville. I don't want to lose those things. You can say it's materialistic, whatever you want to say. Don't matter to me. These are things that make my life better. Okay. These are things that provide for my family. So I wake up and I go, you know what? I don't want to lose all this. Let's go get something. Let's go close a deal. Let's go get some business. Third thing activates prey drive is environment. This is why you got to plug in to what Marlon and these guys do. You can't kind of plug in. You got to plug in all the way. Do you know the people that earn the most income that I've coached? The top 5 money earners that I've coached that are all earning between $500,000 and $4 million a year personally. I have been their coach for 6 years or more. What does that tell you? I wasn't their coach for a day. They didn't come to one seminar. They didn't come to one thing. They plugged in with me, and as a result of working the system, are now making millions and millions of dollars because they plugged in. It's environment, man. The reason I go to church on Sunday mornings is because it places me in an environment, in my opinion, it places me in an environment for the Holy Spirit to do its work in me. Does that make sense? Whether it be the music, whether it be the sermon, I could sit at home and watch it online, but it ain't the same environment for me. I place myself in an environment to feel that experience. Okay. And my daughter woke up one day, who's, 7 years old. She said, Daddy, can we not go to church? And I said, no, we're going. Number 1, we're going to pay honor. Number 2, we're going because you need to learn how to get in this environment. This needs to be a muscle you work. And then I wrote a book for churches called The Accountable Church, which is how do you build dynamic churches that people want to come to. Now, so when you think about it, this concept of environment is what Marlon's building here. But I'm telling you, the environment won't work if you don't show up, right or wrong. If you get on these calls and you halfway pay attention and you don't learn the script and you don't learn how to make the ask and you don't learn how to make the calls and you don't know how to, like you halfway know it, you're going to get halfway results. You can't put 50 cents in a $1 Coke machine and get a $1 Coke out. You got to go all the way with it. Okay. So number 3 is environment. Number 4 is exposure. Once you get exposed to something, you never want to go back to your original dimension, guys. Here's one of my favorite lines during this period. What was once considered a luxury is now considered a necessity. How many of you believe that? Once you got a little taste of living the good life, you don't want to go back, do you? What was once considered a luxury is now considered a necessity. Now, here's my point to you. You were exposed. When you get exposed, I remember I grew up, I won't call it poor. Hurts my mama's feelings when I say I was poor. She goes back and watches some of these videos, and she calls me and she says, you remember back when you were poor, you know, when you were growing up? And kind of hurts her feelings, but we were poor. I mean, I know mama don't want to say it, but we were. And here's how I know. We vacation at the same place every year for 16 years. Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We went to the Smoky Mountains for 16 straight years. We stayed at the same Best Western every year because they had indoor swimming pool. Do you know what kind of nervousness I get when I get close to a Best Western today? And I told my mama, I said, Mom, I'm gonna make enough money that I'm gonna buy you a Best Western one day, okay? And it's gonna have an indoor swimming pool in it. Now, here's the deal. Once I got exposed to nice hotels, I never want to go back to the Best Western. Everybody understand what I'm saying? Once you go to a nice steakhouse, you never want to go back to Western Sizzling. Once you get exposed to a good burger, you never want to go back to McDonald's. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is exposure is what activates the drive in people. Okay. Now, I mentioned a minute ago, this condo we have in Nashville, it's up on the 38th floor because when I was growing up, I always wanted to have a condo in a big city overlooking the city because the energy. And at night, I'll take my 7-year-old daughter down there and we have date nights and we'll go down there and we'll spend the night down there. And she'll sit over by the window looking at the city for hours. And she'll say, Daddy, this is so amazing. Like, look at all the lights and look at all the businesses and look at all the energy. And I said, sweetheart, your dad wasn't exposed to these things when he was a kid. I never saw any of these big buildings. I never went to a big city. And she loves it. What am I doing for her 7 years old? I'm exposing her to a bigger world. Everybody see that? Because of that, she'll be better. She'll know more. She'll have more experience. She'll have more diversity in her life. Exposure is an activator of prey drive. And finally, the fifth one is embarrassment. Now, I don't embarrass people. I don't believe in embarrassing people, especially adults. I don't think it works with adults, and I've coached a lot of people. Embarrassment is when you look at yourself and you say, in comparison to my potential, I'm embarrassed. I'm so much better than what I'm showing. And I don't mind you comparing yourself. I know a lot of people say don't compare yourself because we always compare up. I actually think you should compare up. I compare myself to Tony Robbins, the Grant Cardones of the world, the Zig Ziglars. I want to know what do they have that I don't have? What are they doing that I'm not doing? What do they know that I don't know? I don't think it's a bad thing. It stretches you. So what Marlon's trying to do with you is find your prey drive activator. Okay, what would be very helpful for him is if you just told him and say, hey, Marlon, my number one activator, prey drive, is competition. My number one activator is fear of loss. My number one activator is this. That gives him insight into how to motivate you. Okay, now I'm going to talk about confidence in just a second. Michael Rudick, how you doing, big guy? Good to see you. And I know he's a good dude because he spells his name like me. His mama spelled his name like my mama spelled my name. Or either our mamas didn't know how to spell well, right, Michael? Yeah. Now, when you think about it, here's what happens when your prey drive is activated. You have a vim and vigor about you like you can't imagine. You got an enthusiasm. You got a contagious enthusiasm. And I noticed that about Marlon the first time I met him. You got a contagious enthusiasm about you. I can do something with you. Okay? I can take this raw material that you got, this talent you got, boom, accelerate it. Okay? Every one of you have that. It just hasn't been activated like it needs to be activated. So when this prey drive is activated, let me ask it this way. How many of you have ever been in the presence of a person you thought was self-actualized? That's a tough question. Self-actualization is when a person is reaching their deepest human potential. In my life, I've been around maybe 3. I thought one was Wayne Dyer. When I spent time with Stephen Covey, wrote the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I thought, man, this dude is operating at a freakish level. When I flew to Puerto Rico by myself to meet Wayne Dyer. And when I was in the presence of Wayne Dyer, I thought, man, this dude is operating at a freakish level. Okay. There's a couple other people that I thought when I was around them, I'm like, man, this woman is operating. They're self-actualized, man. That's the goal. How do we actualize our deepest human potential? When prey drive is activated, you're getting a whole lot closer. So let's finish with confidence, then we'll take some Q&A. Confidence is the memory of success. It is an internal knowing that you can create or manifest what you see in your mind. It's that mindset of David. It's going to be a fight, but I'm going to find a way to win. Right? I saw a video the other night, and the guy was using these examples. And he said, he had a football, and he said, if this football was in my hands, it's not worth a lot, maybe $19 or $20. But if you put it in the hands of Tom Brady, it's worth $40 million. Then he picked up a golf club, and he says, golf club, if it's in my hands, it's really not worth anything. But if you put it in the hands of Tiger Woods, it's worth $1 billion. And this basketball, if you put it in my hands, ain't worth a whole lot. But if you put it in the hands of Michael Jordan, what's it worth? And he started talking about whose hands the talent was in and the potential was in it. And in certain people's hands, it was very valuable. In other people's hands, it wasn't that valuable. All big-time people have confidence. Confidence is the memory of success. Internal knowing I can create or manifest. When I wake up in the morning, I was beat down yesterday. I went home, guys. I told my wife, man, it's a terrible day. Had a terrible time trying to sell anything. My sales team was frustrated. And I went home and I told my wife, man, it's a tough day. But guess what? I'm going to go to bed. We live to fight another day. And I got up and I went through my routine. And I came in with enthusiasm. And I had that vim and vigor back. I just need a little rest. And when I get a little bit of rest, I'm ready to fight again. So that's the kind of fight you got to have in you, right? But here's the deal. I got a confidence about me. I know I'm going to find a way to win. I might even find a way to become a ridiculous multimillionaire during this period if you just sit back and watch. Okay. Now my point is, if you come in with that mindset, where does that mindset come from? I'm going to give you where it comes from. It comes through repetition. Used to make my basketball players take 500 shots a day. After I'd spent 5.5 hours with them. You know how long it takes to shoot 500 shots? Almost 2 hours. But you know what happens when you shoot 500 shots a day every day, 5 days a week, 2,500 shots a week? When you're open, you don't miss shots. Right? I had one player shot 91% from the free throw line. She used to come in on Sundays and shoot for 4 hours by herself in the gym. I used to sit up at the top of the gym and watch her just because it amazed me. 4 hours on Sunday by herself. She shot 91% from the free throw line. Why? Muscle memory. When you get in the fight today, you ain't got time to think. Thinking is a liability. You ain't got time to think when you're trying to sell something. You got to get in there and do it because you practiced. I'd like to see you guys role play a lot more. I'd like to see you test a lot more. I'd like to see you really get back to what champions do. Military trains every day. World-class athletes train every day. Big-time salespeople train every day. Derek, I see you're a baseball fan. Derek Brock, looks like you're a baseball fan, right? Well, last week I had I'm becoming friends with a guy named Dana Cavalier. Dana Cavalier was the performance coach for the New York Yankees when they won the World Series. And he and I becoming buddies with each other. Of course, you guys know I'm buddies with Tim Grover. That was Michael Jordan's coach. He was on that show the other night. He wrote the book Relentless. We talk about it every week. I'm good friends with Dr. Kevin Elko. Elko is Nick Saban's coach, a team psychologist at Alabama. I spend time with all these dudes. And here's what I ask them. Do big-time people lose their confidence? Did A-Rod lose his confidence? Did Derek Jeter lose his confidence? Here's what they say. Here's what all of them say. They never lose their confidence. Here's what they lose, their focus. Did you hear what I said? Big-time people don't lose their confidence. They lose their focus. They get distracted. I got a sales guy on my team that sells about $100,000 of coaching a month. That's $1.2 million of coaching. Does well, makes about $130,000 a year for me. And every now and then he's a high C personality and something to go wrong, accounting won't work, or he'll get frustrated with something and he'll just downward spiral into a funk for 2 or 3 days. And I go to him and I'm like, look, man, you don't lose your confidence, you lose your freaking focus. You get focused on all the wrong things. Let the accounting department figure out how to account. Let me figure out how to run the company, and let the president do her thing. And what you need to do is come in every day and do your thing. Don't lose your focus. The purpose of the business is to generate money. All right. How do I maintain my confidence? And I'll finish with this. Number one, a proper expectation. It's going to be a fight, but we're going to find a way to win. Number two, I stay in a routine. If you have allowed yourself to get out of a routine during this cycle, shame on you. Okay. It's easy. I'm telling you, it's easy. I still get up in the morning. I still work out. I still get my work in. I still work the same number of hours I've been working. I've actually worked more hours. Like routine protects your heart beats in a rhythm. Life happens in a rhythm. Tell me that you don't get yourself in trouble when you get out of that rhythm. King David, he didn't go into battle, got himself into trouble. You don't make your sales calls, you get out of a rhythm. Okay. And I learned that from T.D. Jakes, the great pastor T.D. Jakes. He talks about rhythm and life and how it works in a cycle and a rhythm. And I can't say it like T.D. Jakes. I'd love to say it like T.D. Jakes. If you ever go in Dallas, go see him preach in person. He'll change your whole deal. But my point to you is I get myself in trouble when I get out of a rhythm, guys. Sleep too late. Don't get my exercise in the morning. Don't stay on my schedule. I get myself in trouble when I get out of rhythm. My confidence takes a hit, and I can't let that happen. My confidence is protected when I'm in the fight every day, when I'm in the fight. Now, before I take questions, I want to show you something. I'm going to give you guys something. I'm going to share my screen right here, and I'm going to go in, and what I want to do, guys, is I want to give you something today if you want it. You don't have to take it, but if you want it. This is a number to text. And what I'll do is I'll give you a copy of my book, Inside the Mind of a Monster. All you have to pay for is the shipping. I want to make that disclaimer. You do pay for the shipping, but I'll give you the book. Okay, so if you want to text that code, 678-506-7543. 678-506-7543. Text monster exclamation. Monster exclamation. Now, and all disclosure, like I said, I give you the book, but you have to pay for the shipping. Somebody got mad at me the other day because I said I'm going to give them the book, and then they got real mad at me because they had to pay for the shipping. And I'm like, come on, man. Don't be that cheap. If I'm going to give you an hour of my time and I'm going to give you the book for free, at least you can pay for the shipping, okay? Now, if you don't want it, don't take it. The other reason you may want to text that code, if you text that code, I'll send you the interview that I did with my doctor in Houston, Texas, because I think you'd find it to be fascinating about the real truth about the virus. And I would also, if you want to do a strategy session with me, Marlon, I'll open this up to anybody on your team. If you want to do a strategy session with me, 15, 20 minutes on your business, and you're serious, let me put it back up there. Somebody wants to see it. Let me share it. So you text monster exclamation, and you just text it to that number right there. Monster exclamation, and it'll come back and it'll ask you if you want to get the book, and but more importantly, put you into a funnel to get my weekly strategies. And if you want to do a strategy session with me, I think Marlon will probably tell you it'd be valuable to spend 15 minutes with me. Let me just talk to you about your business. Then I'd be happy to do that. And if you text that number and say, I want to do a strategy session, when you come back, my assistant will reach out to you and we'll do a strategy session with you. All right. Now let's take some questions. We got 50 people on here. We got just a few minutes left. I know I don't want to take all your time. But some of the best learning is learned when you ask great questions. So who's got a question they want to ask? And listen, with me, I'm an open book, man. There is nothing off the table with me. Whatever you want to know about me. I had a dude ask me on a podcast tonight, can I ask you personal questions? I said, shoot, yeah, man. Ask me anything you want to ask me. Ask me about my biggest mistakes. Ask me about when I really screwed up. Ask me whatever you want to ask me, ask me.
Well, Michael.
Yes.
When you fall out of rhythm, how do you, and you're trying to get back on track, what tools have you used?
Great question. I have a time system that I use, and I didn't have time to get into it today, but I had a time system that is a hard schedule, meaning I get up at this time, I exercise at this time, I see my family at this time, I get dressed at this time, I meet with my team at this time, I prospect from this time to this time, which is typically 9 to 11:30. I eat lunch at this time, so my rhythm is predicated, Michael, on that. And when I get out of it's when I sleep past my time. I didn't get my workout in. I halfway ate a bad breakfast. My wife was yelling at me on the way out the door. My kid, whatever. It didn't work. I have found that I like predictability and I like clarity. I don't like confusion. So what I've done is I have a very strict schedule. I call it a hard schedule that I use. That's how I get back in a rhythm. I do also start every day off with a sermon. I listen to a sermon. I like Jimmy Evans, which was Robert Morris's mentor at Gateway Church there in Dallas, because he's very practical. I typically listen to 15, 20 minutes of him, maybe read something spiritual. Then on my way into work, I listen to something on business. And I typically have 2 or 3 people I listen to that get my mind thinking. So by 7 or 8 o'clock, I fed my body, I fed my mind, I fed my heart, I fed my spirit. And those are typically good days. Okay. Good question. All right. I see a question here. What is the best suggestion to jumpstart your new career with symmetry if you're only 1 week in? Woo-wee. That's a good question. Here's the deal. You need everything I said, and Marlon can show you what I talked about. You need a system. The system is, if your prey drive is activated and you're 1 week in, you need a great explanation of services. You need to practice that. We have a methodology to show you how to do that. You need a great selling system. You need a great follow-up. Okay. You need to sit down and build out a hit list every single day and understand that nothing happens until something is sold. This is a full contact sport. The more people you talk to, the more opportunity you're going to have to sell something. So plug in. I would want to be mentored by top people in the group. I'd say, hey, show me what you do. Don't spend 6 months trying to figure it out on your own. Go to somebody who knows what they're doing and let them show you how to do it. Okay. Good question.
Hey, Michael, I had a question for you about when you're recruiting your sales team. What characteristics are you looking for, and what are some of the top questions when you interview people to join your team?
Yeah, great question. I believe that if you are a dynamic person, you're going to attract people to you. We routinely get people from all over the world that want to come work with me every week, and they come in literally from other countries. I mean, it's crazy. When I ask hard questions when I interview people, and let me tell you why. All conflict comes when two people don't believe the same things. Okay? All conflict comes when two people don't believe the same thing. So I say, this is what I believe. I believe in coming in early and staying late. I believe when a man asks you to go 1 mile, you need to go 2. I believe in going 7 touches in the follow-up. I believe in prospecting 4.5 to 5 hours a day. Now, do you believe the same things? And if they go, woo, I'd like to roll in about 9. I like to take a 2-hour lunch, and I like to go home early. I'm like, well, this interview's over. Okay, because we ain't never gonna work with each other. We'll be in an argument the first day. So what I have built, if you look at my team, Jen, is I have built stone cold killing machines. Like I have people that will answer I've got one girl that answered my phone one night at 2:17 a.m. I texted her. I was on the way to the airport, and I didn't expect her to answer. I texted her 2:17. I'm on the way to the airport. Had a thought. She texted me right back 2:18. That's how hardcore my people are. Because we don't see our work as jobs, we see it as a mission. We see our work as a mission. It is my duty. It is my responsibility to help people on planet Earth. Now, I would tell you that we've let people go over the last couple months, not because of the COVID, but because they just didn't fit, because they didn't want to perform. And they brought a bad energy to the equation. Now, let me give you a word on friction. My buddy Steve Sims, the modern day Wizard of Oz, told me this the other day. If you have to adapt who you are to deal with anybody on your team, that's friction. That's friction. Friction is when I have to change who I am to appease you. You understand what I'm saying? I'm looking for people who say, I'm in, coach. I'll come in early. I'll stay late. I told my team yesterday, look, we're trying to hit our sales numbers. We're a little bit off our number this month. I don't know if I can keep everybody the next month or not. I said, if I were you, here's what I'd be doing. I'd be volunteering to do whatever I can do. If you value your job, I'd be volunteering right now to do whatever needs to be done. And one of them last night emailed in and said, I'll do whatever I got, whatever it takes, coach. Some of them just sulked, right? That ain't the way to win in the world. Here's something I'll tell you. Every one of you's had hurt feelings on this. My strategy is to convert a hurt feeling to an action as quick as I can. When I get my feelings hurt, I want to convert that hurt feeling to an action as fast as I can. I don't even let it knock me down. I pout for a minute, but that's it. So, Jen, that's what I would do. And the system, the selling system I use, hit list, farm club, top 25, I would use that as a recruiting system. So legacy selling, that's in my book, Legacy Selling, that just came out. And it shows you the system I use to attack a day. I don't even know if it's on my website yet, but because it just came in yesterday. But it is a strong system that teaches you how to attack a day. If I was recruiting people, I'd be doing the same thing. I'm only looking for people that are looking for me. Here's what I believe. Do you believe it? If you do, let's go. If you don't, step over there. Now, when the Army, the Navy, and the Marines were recruiting, and the person from the Army got up and said, here's all the reasons you should join the Army, be all you can be. Here's all the, right? The person from the Navy got up and said, made their case for why you need to be in the Navy. And then the Marine got up and he said, look, there's only 2 of you in this room tough enough to be a Marine. Now, which 2 is it going to be? And two of them stood up and said me, and he said, good, I'll see you right over there when I'm finished. That was his recruiting pitch. Isn't that good? That's what I'm looking for Navy SEALs, man. I ain't looking for baby seals. I'm looking for Navy SEALs. Okay. So I'm only looking for the top notch people. And that's the kind of people I kind of attract. All right. I got time for one more. Anybody else?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
My name is Christopher Dew. I had internet issues, so I joined by phone. I wanted to ask you, how is the best way to try and define which one of your motivators are top to activate your prey drive?
Yeah, that is you guys ask great questions. I'm actually working on an assessment. I hate that it's not finished yet, but I'm working on a prey drive assessment. And I'm a partner with Tony Alessandria. He created the DISC profile. And I went to Tony and I said, I think it would be incredibly valuable for people to know what is their number one activator of their prey drive. Not just their if they're a high D or high I. The DISC profile will tell you what motivates or demotivates people. And I'm certified in that. And it spits out 38 pages to me. And it shows me what you'll be demotivated by, what you'll be motivated, but not like I'm talking about, not like a prey drive assessment. I think you need to spend some time really, really thinking about when you were operating at your highest frequency and what kicked that gear in. Now, let me give you an example. I was on this big conference on Saturday that they tell me 100,000 people will be watching. It was Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, Damon John. Hey, and old Coach Burt got in there somehow. Now, here's the deal. On Saturday, they gave me 45 minutes. They said, we're going to give you 45 minutes on Saturday, and it's you and this former Olympic person. And I'm like, great. So I prepared all week. There's going to be 100,000 people that watch it. Well, they came to me on Saturday morning and they said, we got to cut your time down to 15 minutes because we got Gary Chapman on. Gary Chapman wrote the 5 love languages. And at first it really hurt my feelings. I'm like, I know I didn't write the 5 love languages, but man, I got a lot to say. And I felt like I was good. And man, for just a minute, it hurt my feelings. And here's what I noticed. After that minute, you know what I did? I got good and pissed. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take that 15 minutes and I'm going to be so good in that 15 minutes that they will never forget me. And it's like a switch flipped in me. And I called my president and I said, it's on. You just sit and watch these 15 minutes. And I went strong. And you should have seen the comments. There were like 500 comments. Who is this guy? I've never seen him before. Who is Coach Burt? How can we spend more time with him? Now, here's what's so funny. They were not going to bring me into the green room. They have a green room backstage, and like the top paying people get to go backstage. They were just going to bring Gary Chapman and the other guy in, and the comments were so strong, they asked me, will you step into the green room because so many people want to talk to you? Here's my point to his question. You know what I figured out on Saturday? One of my number one activators of my prey drive is a hurt feeling. Did everybody see that? And it took that for me to really figure out what kind of gear I could go into when I got a hurt feeling. And you know what? I didn't know my dad growing up very well. My dad never paid any attention to me. He never hugged me, never told me he loved me. I didn't have a good relationship with him. And I think that some of that feeling of not feeling good enough taps into that raw passion from my past. Does that make sense? I have a good relationship with him now, so don't think it's bad. But back in the old day, I think when they told me I wasn't good enough, that raw passion from my past of not feeling good enough for my own dad kicked in, and it was a pure primal thing, and that's not a bad thing. I'm not mad at my dad. I actually thank him. I probably wouldn't be the Coach Burt I am today if he'd have been the person I wanted him to be. So I'm telling you guys, just keep that in mind and really study what flips that switch for you, and think about when at a time did you click a gear that you didn't even know you had? What produced that? That's how you know what your number one activator is. Everybody see that? All right, you guys have been great. My little thing's telling me I got to move on to my next appointment.
Well, Coach Burt, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being on. Unbelievable. I took 7 pages of notes, and anyone who doesn't take you up on a 15-minute session has lost their mind, that they haven't activated their prey drive. But the question I was going to ask you, and you can tell me later, is I love the fact that you always say everybody needs a coach.
Yeah.
And maybe you can end on this. Why do you think it is that everybody needs a coach? And man, I appreciate you. I'll shoot you a text later, and just love what you're about, man. I'm watching you from the background, and I'm getting fired up. So thank you so much for speaking into my team.
Good. You can't see the picture when you're inside the frame. That's why we need a coach in our life. You need a guy like me in your corner. You need somebody. If you look at what, you know, when the famous fighter, can't remember his name, the MMA fighter that just came back and won, and, you know, kind of lost his way for 2 or 3 years. If you look at when he came back and won in the first 30 seconds of the next fight, look over who was in his corner, Tony Robbins. He hired Tony Robbins to be his coach. Okay. Why?
Conor McGregor.
Yeah, McGregor. McGregor lost his way, man. Got in all kinds of trouble, got arrested. He hired Tony Robbins, comes back and within 30 seconds beats a dude. And he's hugging Tony Robbins. What did Tony Robbins do for him? Why does he need Tony Robbins? Why did Jordan need Phil Jackson? Why did these great people turn to coaches? Coaches are trained to help you play at a higher level. It is foolish to go at this on your own when somebody could help you. Right? That would be my case for you. Why did Nate Alford hire me to be a coach? Right? Why did Marlon Faulkner? Why do the top people in the world turn to somebody to keep this right here going right? Okay. So I would just encourage you. I've spent probably hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million in coaching for me. I mean, I got coaches right now coaching me in everything, how to handle this, how to fight through, how to do everything. So it's very important that you realize this is an investment in you. Okay. And you're your greatest asset at the end of the day. That's why you need a coach. All right. Thank you, guys. Love you. Let's do it again sometimes. I had fun. All right. Have a great day. Hi, I'm Coach Michael Burt, and the #1 book that I've written over the last couple of years that could help you during these unusual times is a book I wrote called Inside the Mind of a Monster. Now, I want to give you that book. All you have to do is text 678-506-7543. Because when you text that in, I'm going to give you a copy of my book, Inside the Mind of a Monster. And it's going to show you the habits and mindsets of top producers and how they attack every single day versus play defense. Don't you want to play offense? Get this book. I'm giving it to you. And I'm telling you, I'm going to turn you into a legendary creature.